You are listening to the Hodges Huddle, where we discuss all things in the wide world of sports. Here is your KLSU sports team.
Welcome into the Hodges Huddle. I'm your host, Andre Champagne, and today I am joined by, it's the OG group again. It's Raven Freeman, and it's Jayden Smith. How are y'all doing on this Monday, Victory Monday?
I'm feeling magnificent on this Victory Monday.
He's finding a new word for if you haven't caught up by now. He's finding.
We can't do Combo Tuesday no more, so we're gonna do something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good Monday. The Ravens won yesterday, the Texans won, and then LSU won Saturday. So I'm on
I know who did win yesterday.
Ooh.
But
look,
neither here nor there.
51 points.
I'm not watching another game this season.
Oh, he's lying, guys. He's lying.
I'm not.
He's lying.
I'm not lying. I don't think I am. I'm doing good.
Yeah,
because LSU got a victory, and what a night it was in Baton Rouge. But also, I feel like school today and this week is gonna be calm because we get a little fall break.
I finished my last midterm today. I actually feel like pretty good about
Clutched.
it. Like, bro,
love to see it.
Yeah, fall break is much needed.
Much needed.
Even outside of this, we all work really hard. School is hard.
Yes.
And we're tired.
As junior and seniors.
Yeah.
Ooh-wee. But what a night. Like I said, it was in Baton Rouge. So let's get into it. LSU defeated Ole Miss by a score of 29-26 in a game that went Ole Miss's way, like you said, Jayden, until the literally last few plays. And so first off, what did y'all think of that environment in Tiger Stadium, and what was your favorite part about it?
Being in the student section, being honest, the first half was electric. Ole Miss couldn't focus on anything, and you could tell they were shaken up. And then halftime came. It was a little calm. It was homecoming. Everyone was being respectful. And I'm not going to lie, the third quarter, it was a little quiet, And the LSU offense didn't perform. I know we're going to talk about that. They didn't perform as well as we all thought. And, that was being talked about during halftime. So when they came out again, and it was kind of the same thing, everyone was kind of like, ugh. But, as it got close in the fourth quarter, that energy, it rose up. And me being a senior, my last homecoming, it was just amazing to be there. The third quarter kind of scared me, though, because it was quiet. But it's I enjoyed myself. I loved it.
Yeah, I got the chance to work the game. And it's
you got to experience it differently.
Yeah.
Because you heard everything. You literally heard everything.
It's two sides to it. Mm-hmm. But it's pros and cons. The pro, like you said, I got to experience, really just a great magical game. That whole, really just fourth quarter. And it started with the Cy Alexander interception, and Garrett throws one the next play. Just so much back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt
that group
so,
chat.
it just felt like such a big moment. But I was a little jealous up there, just seeing this, not just the student section, the whole stadium.
Yeah,
man, it was 100,000 strong.
Right.
Yeah.
Singing along to Boosie.
Yeah, that was insane.
And the light show, everything was synchronized.
Do that every game,
I think,
please.
yeah, I think it was the first time where I know for sure I had seen it, but everybody was in attendance. It wasn't everybody left at half.
The old people didn't leave at half.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, so it was a great atmosphere, and I just think it was the perfect embodiment of why Death Valley is everything everybody says it is.
Yeah.
Did you go on the field with the final 6 minutes left?
No, I didn't. I stayed in the press box.
Okay.
Because it was a close game, and I knew stuff was still happening. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know because 2 years ago I was on the field when they rushed against Ole Miss, and I was like, really? Because that meant you had to wait a lot longer.
Oh yeah, trying to walk through all those people was definitely annoying. Yeah.
But for me, I went until halftime, my head was hurting so bad. It was so loud in there that I got the worst headache of all time. But I think this was one of the craziest atmospheres in Tiger Stadium, and I say that because we saw so many things that we've never seen. Like Jayden said, we've never seen the light show. Yeah. And I'll say this, Poggi was right, because Poggi told us, I think it was last week, Raven?
Yeah.
Poggi told us, he was like, y'all sleeping on that light show. They haven't showed anything yet.
Yeah.
And look.
And they brought it out at the perfect time. Too.
Right.
I got to say, yeah.
And they got to do that against Alabama. Maybe they don't have to do that every single game, but at
But the
least for
important
every
ones.
big game,
Yeah.
right?
It hypes the crowd up.
Because from what I understand, it's a lot of work that goes into it. Like, apparently it's very hard to synchronize everything the way that they did it. But I mean, look,
It's worth it.
boo-hoo. Some people got to work, bro.
Right, everybody got a job to do.
That's what I say. And look at the end game. Like, look what happened. So the light show goes crazy, and they better do those wristbands, like I said, every game.
Yeah, I still have mine on because I'm holding on to it. It's like all wet.
That's a souvenir.
That's insane. You still have it on.
They put them on because it's like you can't take
You can't take. You got to cut
to
it.
cut it.
Is it still, like, working?
Let me see.
It doesn't do anything, right?
Here, let's see. Oh.
Not yet. Not yet, at least. But like Jayden said, when it was the second quarter, and I think it was like a fourth down, and we had just stopped Ole Miss, set it off, played, and I actually, like, everybody sang it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, could you hear it from all the way up in the press box?
What, everybody singing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 100,000 people.
You know
like,
what's even
I had to stop
cooler?
myself from singing along.
Yeah, I
I'm in
know.
a professional environment.
Right.
You know what's even cooler? You know who was like instructing us? Odell Beckham. That was cool.
Yeah,
Oh, I
back
did
from
see
his
that.
5-year ban from
he was
campus,
lit.
by the way.
Yeah.
Our videographer Donovan got some really nice shots.
I gotta
of
say,
OBJ.
man, I got to see him like up close
Before the game?
I didn't realize how like famous Odell
He
was because
was.
at first they had him on the jumbotron.
Yeah.
But it wasn't him. It was Justin Jefferson, and he happened to like walk into the shot, and you could hear the crowd like getting louder. But bro, when he like walked around the sideline,
You were like, wow.
you would have thought we like scored a touchdown. Or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, as far as the field rush goes, let's talk about a little bit about that. As students, we definitely like to do it, right? There's a little bias towards it, but there does come a time when you have to remember that LSU owns a program like Ole Miss, and they're a blue blood program in football, so they shouldn't be rushing the field every single top 10 matchup. So that what do you guys think about that?
I think I'm okay with it for last Saturday because of how things played out.
Because of the way we won.
Yeah, it was just like I said, so much back and forth. It just felt
was the
like
last play.
such a magical game.
Yeah.
So when they rushed the field, I was like, okay, I get it. Now
You can't do this
we
against
cannot
Bama
do
this year. Nah,
every
you can't.
top 10 matchup, every big win. Like
That fine is
and because like you said, like shouldn't we feel like we're supposed to? Like I feel like storming the field is for games you're not supposed to win this game.
Yeah.
Like you should. We're at a position within this program where we feel like we're supposed to win games like this. So you gotta act like you've been here before, man.
Right.
Like simple as that.
I mean,
here comes the bias.
I disagree. I mean, as a senior, okay, first
As a senior,
How-
I still feel that the same.
how we won is a big part of it, but it's like I just feel like there was a lot of doubt. I feel like the fans felt that way. I feel like the players felt like that. And like shutting all those people up, like if we run on a field of grass, it's not the end of the world. I mean, like
Way to
honestly
simplify
and
it.
truly, it's not that big of a deal. Now, every top 10 matchup, no, that's correct. But it's like Kyron Lacey catching that touchdown, like that just erupted something in me. Like I was over the fence as soon as the ball left Garrett's hands. Like I knew. Like
Oh, you knew.
Like
She knew.
if I was the only one that stormed it and got arrested, it would have been worth it to me. I mean, me and my roommates, like we picked up grass. Like I have like a photo book.
We do
and I have,
not
like,
condone this.
I have grass.
You got some
on the
grass?
field, and like we took pictures. It was just the best.
That's gonna be coming out of your fee bill.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's
You know
coming out
that.
the fee bill.
Yeah,
but-
and I pay a lot of money to be here, so they'll be fine.
Well, let's get into the game now.
Yeah.
In a game where LSU did everything to stay in it, the defense carried the offense, and there's no other way to put it. So let's start with that defensive line first. What was so impressive about them in general, and why did that help the rest of the defense with Dart getting uncomfortable?
They did a great job, I thought, of not only collapsing the pocket and flushing Jackson Dart, but they were able to like cut off lanes and running lanes that usually he would be able to navigate through and pick up easy first downs here and there. And I think that was so pivotal into them also picking up sacks. Mm-hmm. Like you've been like preaching this like since last season. Like it all starts with that defensive line,
Right.
man. Like everything. And now you see what happens when the defensive line brings that type of tenacity and aggression. It just makes everybody else's job easier.
6 sacks as well.
Yeah.
And then, like, to add on to what Jayden said, like I said yesterday, I mean, like, they were consistent, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they did that all game long. I want to make this point again. I made it with Andre yesterday. Like, it was like the offense and the defense, and, like, the defensive line specifically, too. They kept us in this game. Like, it's like they switched. Last year, I mean, like, the offense won us every game and cleaned up all the defense's mistakes every time. Saturday's game, and like even at different points of the season, that is what this defensive line did. Oh, Garrett threw a pick, let's go back out there and work.
Right.
Oh, 3 and out, let's go back out there and work. And that's when you like that consistency, that drive is what this defense has been missing. And it's been coming out all season, but like on Saturday we saw it full effect.
Yeah.
And they need to keep up with that. Like the consistency needs to keep going.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's like you said, that's a good analogy because like last year was the complete reverse role, yeah. And their ability to get to Jackson Dart so much made the rest of the LSU defense's job so much easier because Dart was not comfortable like all night.
Right.
And LSU was just a much more physical group on the front, both defensively and on the offensive line. But I mean, we talked about that, Jay. We talked about how much that needed to happen for LSU to stay in it. And another thing is when a defensive line gets pressure that often, the wide receivers have no time to get open.
Right.
Yeah.
Which means the defensive backs only have to cover for so long, meaning LSU can play a lot more man coverage, and that's what you saw. But does this LSU defense have a better identity? It sounds crazy without Harold Perkins, where they can play 2 traditional linebackers now with Whit Weeks and Greg Penn.
I think they do, and I don't want it to sound like a slight to Harold by any means.
No,
he's
this is
a
not.
phenomenal player. But I think you asked this. I think it was had to be after the South Alabama game, and I said then like it kind of looks like it. It just looks like it's now easier for more players to be where they need to be because
Comfortably.
so much of the game planning was okay. Where are we going to put Harold?
Right.
Where are we going to
Exactly.
put him this week? Where are we going to put him against this team? And I think sometimes with that came compromising other players who they may be better at this position or filling this gap. So I just think, it definitely gives them more of an identity. And now they have more consistency in what type of defense they want to run and the way that they want to play.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I completely agree. It's harsh to say. I wrote down like they look better without him, but that's harsh. Like that's a harsh.
It sounds
thing to
harsh.
say.
It
It's
does
just
sound
reality.
harsh.
But
Yeah.
like they do. Like look how much they shined when not everything revolves around Harold. And I know I say that, and that's harsh too. But I feel like that's a
They
coaching
thing, though.
right?
Yeah.
And like, when's the last time this defense has put that much pressure on a quarterback? Like honestly, like
Against a good team like that.
Against
like,
a good team.
Yeah, you have to go back a while back.
Right. It was very impressive. And like you guys said, Harold's an amazing player, but it's like, look what these guys can do when not all the focus is on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I firmly believe that they are a better defense without him. But like you said, this isn't a tear to him, but it's just with the confusion of where to put him every single week.
Right.
Because LSU never really felt comfortable on defense, and they couldn't play physically with that linebacker group all game. But now you look at Whit Weeks. He loves to play the spot he's in. Greg Penn is able to play the spot that he's in. And now they're able to actually put Major Burns in a position where Harold Perkins
was making plays.
And even exactly. And even now, Major Burns is a guy that's making plays. So just the fact that they're able to play with more of a traditional defense, which is 2 linebackers, they obviously look way more comfortable doing it. And they're running around the field all over the place. Now, Harold Perkins is great. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the most disruptive players. But here's the thing. When you can't put him in 40 plays as an edge rusher and you can't put him in the middle for 40 plays, that means the defense can't really do what they want to do.
Right.
And that was more of a thing about drafting his draft stock. I think it was quite selfish, honestly, on the LSU coaching staff. I understand that you were trying to get him NFL ready, but you got to do what allows you to win.
Right.
Week in and week out.
It's not just all about
exactly.
Harold.
And if Harold can't adjust to it, then I mean, there's a serious time where you have to say maybe you need to switch positions.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, that's how I feel about it. But how would you evaluate Whit Weeks' performance this week?
I mean,
like,
you can go ahead.
It was like 10 solo tackles.
Right.
That is like chef's kiss. He has 31 on the season. I mean, Whit Weeks dang near had this whole Ole Miss offense on lock. I mean, he was on fire. I mean, it's just he's just been evolving since fall camp. We were like, Whit Weeks is going to be a problem. It's nice seeing like all of like these quiet. Whit Weeks played well last season, but it's like it's nice seeing like all these quiet players come out of their shell. And going back to your question before, Harold not being on the field, it just allows these players to go
to shine.
Whit Weeks had an amazing game. He saved us.
I agree. Sunshine.
Man, what's to say? 18 total tackles is
insane.
Yeah, that's
insane.
That's
insane.
More than Harold Perkins had in 4 games, by the way.
Wow.
I did not know that. So like you said, like that that really puts it into perspective for you. But he was everywhere, man. I mean, every snap, every play, and I'm so glad, like, especially looking at how it played out, I'm so glad that he didn't get thrown out of the game for that, the targeting.
Yeah, because that wasn't targeting. Let's
so glad.
Let's clarify. There was nothing he could have done in that position. If a quarterback is lowering his head,
right,
and you're already wrapped up going low,
you can't stop yourself.
I mean, his face mask hit his helmet. It wasn't really much of the crown hitting him,
right,
and it wasn't much of a collision, if we're being completely honest. But
yeah, the refs weren't on our side Saturday. I'll say that too.
I wouldn't say that like completely. I think Ole Miss had way more penalties than LSU did, but I think it was a fairly called game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the review, I think they got most of the things right. But for Whit Weeks to have 18 tackles is just insane.
Yeah,
like that just shows you he was running around every single play, giving it his all.
Yeah,
18 tackles. Like, just think about that.
Yeah.
What's the last linebacker just in college football that you've seen 18 tackles?
I can't think of one.
I can't think of one right on the dot, but I mean, something about wearing that 40.
Right.
And these LSU linebackers, because I mean, even in pass coverage, he looked way better than he did, against South Carolina. So you love to see how they're developing as well. But what did Blake Baker do in this game that really just allowed LSU to thrive?
I think he did a great job of giving them different looks.
Yeah,
I think with an offense is like Ole Miss, who likes to run these little cute, spicy plays. Like you have to give them different looks, or they gonna carve you up, bro.
Right.
It's simple as that. And part of that was because a lot of what they were doing were working. And so now, as a coach, you get to go in your bag a little bit. Mm-hmm. You get to pull out stuff that you've been saving for certain situations and things like that. So he did a great job of giving them different looks and not allowing Dart and Lane Kiffin to really get comfortable with any looks that they were seeing.
Yeah, I mean, like Andre said yesterday on the Sunday show, Blake Baker coached his best game on Saturday for sure. He was just so creative with his play calling. Like, it was like a magician with the wand, like the way everything was just flowing so smoothly. Like, even he was so creative, he could call like a simple blitz, and like Ole Miss never, like, they didn't see it coming.
They couldn't pick up on it. Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. I mean, Blake Baker literally said, expect the unexpected, and like Ole Miss just couldn't pick up on that.
Yeah, and I think Blake sent blitzes at the right times this week, in times that Ole Miss really just least expected it.
Right.
Like, those second and longs, where you would think that LSU would drop back. No, they'd send them. Mm-hmm. So I also think that LSU did a wonderful job of limiting those chunk plays for the most part. Mm-hmm. And that was really, what killed Ole Miss. They're a team that relies on the big plays. And they really didn't take the checkdowns much. And that's on Jackson Dart. Mm-hmm. And I think that was just them trying to do too much. But Baker's game plan to also make sure that Ole Miss couldn't run the ball was very smart. You take away the 50-yard run in the first quarter, and Ole Miss doesn't have that many rushing yards, and you're not really hurt by that. But Ole Miss had to rely on the pass all game, and that really allowed LSU to drop back into coverage more, especially in those third and fourth quarters. So just moving on, let's talk about this defense having to face Arkansas. Starting with Taylon Green, the Razorbacks starting quarterback. He's still currently hurt with a bone bruise that he suffered against Tennessee. So we're going to see later on in the week. Sam Pittman said today, as of Monday, the time we're recording, he has practiced.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that's been like walkthroughs. I don't know how much he's being limited. But I would expect him to go and play this weekend. Now, that means he might not be 100%.
Yeah.
But what does this defense have to do to make sure they do well when defending that Arkansas offense, and him specifically being able to move outside the pocket?
I mean, like, pressure. Pressure has to be on him constantly. I mean, think about it. Containing a quarterback like Jackson Dart is difficult, and this defensive line did it like it was a piece of cake. Like, they gave him no mercy. Talon, he's a very mobile quarterback, and he knows how to escape that pocket. And I think that's something LSU will know. I think that that's obvious. So I honestly feel like containing Dart would be more difficult. So if you go out there and you have that consistent mindset, like, hey, let's just do what we did last week, then they should be fine. You have to keep pressure on them, though.
Yeah. I was absolutely, like, keep pressure on them. It kind of reminds me of the 2019 Bama game, not the opponent, but the situation where I think Tua was coming off, like, that ankle surgery or something like that, and that was the big key of the game, like, really testing that ankle. It reminds me of this, like, you really got to test, like, is he really able to go? Like, pressure, like, make him get the ball out of his hands, make him make quick decisions and things like that. And I think if they can do that consistently, I think they're going to have a good day again.
Yeah, I think LSU's going to have to allow Whit Weeks or Greg Penn to spy a good bit in this game, because I think LSU's defensive backs can be way more comfortable in a game like this where, Arkansas's wide receivers aren't at, the caliber that Ole Miss's are. And I'm not saying they can't go and show up on next Saturday, but I'm just saying LSU has a little more leeway this week within that. And I think they're going to have to make sure for the defensive line that they don't leave a hole in the middle.
Right.
Meaning if you're going to, get to the quarterback, you better make sure that you get him before he goes down the middle or finds a way outside the pocket.
Yeah.
So just making sure he goes down and not missing tackles is going to be huge. But moving towards the offensive side, LSU did not have their greatest game, specifically Garrett Nussmeier. So let's talk about Garrett Nussmeier. He looked very bad, like we said, from the first quarter until literally the last 2 minutes of the game, where he looked like, I don't know, like an NFL quarterback on the last two possessions. But let's start off with the negatives. What did he not do well that he needs to do better moving into Arkansas week?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, going to be a long list here.
He missed. The thing that stood out to me the most was the timing and how late. He was late on at least like 8 throws.
Oh, yeah.
And they weren't like hard throws to make. No. It was probably like 5 or 6 times where Kyron Lacey runs a comeback route. That means you run up, you sail to go route, boom, you stop, turn around. When Kyron turns around and comes out of his break, he is not supposed to see you throwing the ball to him. When you come out of your break on a comeback route, the ball's supposed to be in the air, and you're supposed to be getting ready to catch it.
Right.
That's how timing works. And I think we missed so many opportunities and pivotal downs because of timing. And these are simple things. It's not. I'm not asking you to put the ball in the bucket. I'm asking you to just get the ball out on time. And
fixable things, by the way.
Fixable things. You didn't get sacked, so it's not like it was a pressure thing.
That's another thing.
The ball.
Yep.
And while we're on that subject,
we'll get to that. Yep. I knew you
another
were bring
thing,
it up.
missed opportunities. Garrett, you know you got legs, right? Like,
Man.
And he's kind of fast.
And 10 toes. Like, run the dang ball. Like, run. Like, you got 6 yards of green in front of you, and you just
slide, bro. If you that scared, just slide.
Man,
we ain't saying you have to be like Jayden Daniels. No. Joe Burrow wasn't afraid to go drop a shoulder,
you
though.
saw that last night.
Exactly.
You see that last night.
Garrett he literally didn't run the ball last night until he absolutely had to.
On that third down.
And look what happened.
Exactly.
So, like, run the ball, Garrett.
Maybe that gave him a little more confidence.
I hope it did.
Yeah.
I mean, Jayden took the words right out of my mouth. I'm going to elaborate, kind of like these guys get on him running a little bit later in the show. But it's like, I was just surprised how bad he played with how well the offensive line protected him as well. I mean, the offensive line, like the rushing game, like that's another issue. Like that needs to be fixed. We're talking strictly about Garrett. It's like, how are you late to throwing these passes?
Yeah.
And then, like, of course, your accuracy's off, and like no one's touched you. There's no pressure.
Yeah. That's what concerns me.
And it's like, it's not going to get any better than that. Was he sacked at all?
No,
I don't
he
even
didn't
think
have
he
any
was
sacks.
sacked at all,
Against the
Garrett.
team, by the way, that led the
conference in sacks.
Right. So why are you so scared? Like, not even just scared to run, but why are you scared to throw the ball?
Or get outside the pocket at that. Like, you're not
Anything.
They're not going to touch you if you just go outside the pocket too.
Yeah.
But I think he just struggled to make some of the right decisions too, because he loves one-on-ones, and that's just a player that Garrett's going to be. And he's not going to change that identity. He's a gunslinger, and that's going to happen. and I'm okay with some of these interceptions, but some of them are boneheaded. And like you don't need to go into triple coverage.
Like
if it's a one-on-one ball, sure.
Yeah.
And if the defender makes a better play, cool. But if you overthrow or underthrow, that's where we're going to start having problems.
Right.
But like I said, I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but extend the play. That's something a pocket passer like him has to be able to do. In the NFL, I'm sorry, that's how quarterbacks are starting to evolve too.
Right.
Nuss is, like I said, he's fast, believe it or not. So I don't understand why he doesn't run outside the pocket more and even just improvise, kind of like Joe Burrow did, and he was so good at.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you have to mirror your game like that, but you could definitely, make some things happen outside the pocket because your offensive line is allowing you to do it. But I think some of those issues, like Jayden said, with the timing, I think it was different because you didn't have C.J. Daniels, you didn't have Kyle Parker. So you're making Aaron Anderson, a guy that plays usually the slot receiver. He's having to play, at the Z. Mm-hmm. And that could mess up a few, seeing Aaron Anderson in a position where C.J. Daniels is supposed to be at.
Right.
You don't get to work on that other than just this week. So I think that was probably the reason why we saw the efficiency problems. And I think that's going to get fixed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think, like I said, it's not the worst problems to have. But let's give some positives for Garrett. And there definitely was some good, some positives.
Yeah, absolutely. His poise, like I think Garrett completed like 40-something% of it. He was like 22 of 51 or something like. That's not good. But despite the interceptions, despite
he didn't let
the incompletions, and the way that the game was going, like. It didn't matter. Like one thing I do respect about Garrett is he is a true gunslinger in every sense of the word. Like he's going to keep throwing the ball. Like just keep putting it out there. Like eventually something good is gonna happen, right?
Right.
I think he just did a great job of staying poised, just staying composed, and especially in a game like this of that magnitude, the environment, it's SEC play, like that. Things like that are important too. Like. Football is largely about skill, but also like your mental has to be right as well. Like because if he was like beating himself up over the way he was playing,
three
like
picks.
we
maybe 4,
and we wouldn't have won that game.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, my biggest positive, Garrett under pressure is like my biggest nightmare. I did not want to see Garrett go into overtime. I did, and I was like,
I didn't even think about that.
I was like. I don't know.
After watching him lead that drive to tie the game, I was so confident.
That's what that is true. That was my argument. Oh, that's my answer. Like I think he played very well under pressure. Sure, Garrett, waiting to the end and give us all a heart attack. I don't care when is a win, but it's like he played so well under pressure. And guys, he usually doesn't. Like that's just the reality. He does not play good under pressure. So like on that last drive and like going into overtime, I was holding my breath because I was like, he's kind of known for throwing that interception in the back of the end zone. He is. Like, people know that about Garrett.
Yeah.
So, like, his poise, how calm he was, that was his prime. He looked like, not Lamar Jackson because Lamar Jackson runs, but it's like he looked like Josh Allen on that last drive going into overtime and in overtime. So, I was proud of him for being calm under pressure.
Yeah, and I think he got SEC Offensive Player of the Week.
Somehow,
I think. Like, I don't know how,
I think just the fact that he led those 2 final drives shows what he's capable at. I mean,
for sure.
He's definitely the leader that you want because, like you guys said, he doesn't get hard. Like, some players let that get to their head. I mean, this is a mental game, and sports are just that way in general. But I can say if that's kind of like when you're in a slump, that could lead to slumps. Garrett doesn't care, which I love, and that's exactly what you want out of a starting SEC quarterback is just a grit. But here's the thing: he's got to find a way to play like the last 2 drives, that he did for 4 quarters. And if he can do that, if there's any way possible that he can do that, this LSU team's a playoff team. Like their defense is good enough, and that offense. I mean, if he can fire everything right, which is, that's a very big ask. But, I mean, you got to improve week in and week out.
Right.
I mean, that accuracy on some of those balls that he threw was insane.
That throw that he made to Aaron Anderson.
Yes, to tie the game.
My gosh.
It was
that is an NFL throw.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure.
It just shows, and that's why you wonder. You're like, why was some of the timing off for some of these other plays, but not for this one?
Right.
But I really think that you have to give Ole Miss some props. You do, because they were very prepared for what LSU was going to throw, and I think that falls on a little bit of play calling, which I'm not going to get into today, but. It's a recurring theme. You look what happens when you let the players, have some leeway. I mean, Kyron Lacey calls his own shot there, to end the game.
I saw like the
video.
The video that they released. Like
he said, I want a one-on-one with 28, and 28 goes head first into the end zone, looking like an idiot. So, like I said, just creative. But for Nuss, just find a consistent point to play like that and keep that confidence that, even if you throw that pick, you can still, go back and throw a touchdown. So,
right.
But moving forward, this LSU team will be tasked against really one of the best defenses that they're going to face all season with Arkansas. What do they have to improve on next week and do against the Razorbacks?
Circling back to what you guys said, because this was my emphasis, like, he needs to run. I know we already said this, but it's like, especially if his O-line protects him like they did against Ole Miss, like he has to use his legs. On that 3rd and 13, you running and getting 14 yards, like that is huge. And you got hit, and you realized, oh, okay, that didn't hurt that bad. You can run, Garrett. I mean, in the SEC, you can't be afraid to do whatever needs to be done to get a new set of downs, to win, to score as an SEC quarterback. And we saw that. Like that flash of that in Garrett, but it's like if you're protected, Garrett, like you have to run. You can you can get 20+ yards if you just use your legs. And like y'all said, he's faster than I thought. He was running 13 yards. I was like, whoa.
He really is.
I was like, you ate that, Garrett.
And he's bigger than he thinks. Like I said, so I mean, a hit's not going to really hurt him the way that he may think it is.
You will be fine, bro.
You will be fine. You can't.
Now, I'm not saying go drop a shoulder. No, slide, man. You can slide.
Right.
Just take what they give you.
But I just feel like I hope that instilled a lot of confidence in him, and that needs to follow along into next week. It has to. Yeah,
especially I think not just him running, but running like when the defense gives you that, because we like, especially a good defense. Like good defenses don't give you much leeway. Like that's the one thing about good defenses. So when they do give you something like that, you are really going to have to take advantage of it. And also, I think he was holding the ball a little too long on Saturday. And I think he was, once again, that could have been due to, certain receivers being out. But you can't afford to be holding the ball that long and waiting for these routes to develop. Like, sometimes you're going to have to improvise. And a lot of times, like, when routes don't develop, what do? You scramble outside of the pocket, look, and somebody's going to make themselves get open. These guys are very good at filling the space around them and getting where they need to be so they can catch the ball. And also, I think we're going to have to do a great job of getting the ball out quick.
For sure.
You have to get the ball out quick. If you want to beat great defenses, great pass rushers, get the ball out quick. And also, I think the tempo is going to have to speed up a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. I think LSU, like you said, this was in my notes. I think they're going to have to be better with the quick passing game. LSU has a lot of players who can break free for long gains. And Arkansas, they're a defense that doesn't allow many chunk plays, and they're just not going to. So maybe, just get a lot more creative with the they've been very successful with the play action and the RPOs, and they went away from that for some reason against Ole Miss in the first half. But try and use that a little more, I guess, against Arkansas. But that's what I have. I said just take what they give you. Yeah. It's literally that simple. But any early predictions, I'll go and say mine. I said LSU wins by 10 in this one. I think they cover. I'll say 34-24. I think this Arkansas defense is pretty good. And I could see a world where LSU does blow them out, if we're being honest, if they take care of business like they're supposed to. But, historically, this matchup is so close, and it's a rivalry.
Yeah. I'm going to say 31-17.
Oh.
Just because I think Saturday's victory, it wasn't just a win. It was like a team bonding exercise.
Right.
Like,
a wake-up call.
The defense fed off the offense, and in the end, the offense fed off of the defense. And I think the moment that encapsulated the whole thing was when Zy Alexander gets an interception in the fourth quarter. and Garrett goes and gives them the ball
right away.
Right back the next play. And I think last year we were giving up a touchdown. It would have been what?
Oh, it would have been.
The game would have been over.
It would have been a blowout.
They would have scored.
Right.
But no, defense honed right back in. And they said, no, you're gonna take this 3, and we're gonna give our offense another chance to go out here and tie the game up. So I just think things like that are what really brings teams together. When both groups have to feed off of each other and have to depend on one another to do their job, and they come through for each other. I just think that just takes your team to a whole nother level, because now these guys, they're battle tested, like to the fullest extent. So I just think it's gonna be hard for like a lot of SEC teams to beat us.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I have 24-21. I hope I'm wrong, but it's like these unranked SEC teams have not come to play. Look at Vanderbilt and Bama. Look at Kentucky and Ole Miss. Look at Arkansas just beat Tennessee. Tennessee has a good
and they're coming off a bye week, so
yes. I mean, I hope it's not that close. But like my also fear is LSU when they win, they kind of go into things not as strong as they should. They have that confidence. You cannot.
I think that's going to be different with this team.
I really hope so. And like, I believe in y'all's predictions. That's what I hope it is. But it's like, it's a rivalry. It's an SEC game. Yeah. I feel like things are going to be close.
I do too. But we shall see.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it here for us on today's episode. Big thank you to Jayden Smith and Raven Freeman for joining me today. I'm your host, Andre Champon, and this has been the Hodges Huddle.